Convincing Star Trek theory claims Lower Decks' first officer is connected to Captain Janeway's Voyager enemy. Star Trek Lower Decks has built a reputation for wild comedy, nostalgic cameos, and surprisingly deep lore connections, but one recent fan theory is turning heads across the fandom, proposing that the Cerritos' first officer, Commander Jack Ransom, may have a hidden lineage linking him to one of Voyager's most iconic antagonists. It sounds far-fetched at first, but the clues are tantalizingly scattered across canon. Could Ransom's brash personality, bizarre physiology, and subtly concealed background point toward a direct connection with Captain Catherine Janeway's most persistent and unrelenting enemy? Let's dig into the theory, and why it's far more convincing than it has any right to be. Who is Commander Jack Ransom? Voiced by the boy star Jerry O'Connell, Commander Jack Ransom is the Cerritos' swaggering, charmingly obnoxious first officer. He's the kind of Starfleet officer who seems to live in the shadow of Kirk's legendary bravado, all ego, muscle, and occasional moments of surprising competence. Throughout Lower Decks, Ransom serves as a comedic foil, especially to Captain Carol Freeman and the ship's misfit ensigns. But even in the most over-the-top moments of the show, Ransom demonstrates some uncanny abilities that border on the surreal. We've seen him fight with superhuman strength, survive near fatal wounds, and heal from injuries with shocking speed. Fans laughed when he became a glowing, godlike energy being in the episode Strange Energies. But what if those powers weren't just a result of sci-fi hijinks? What if they hint at something deeper, something biological? A possible connection to Voyager's enemy of the week, or something more? Captain Janeway faced numerous villains over the course of Star Trek Voyager, but few left as lasting an impression as the genetically enhanced alien known as Species 8472. Introduced in the iconic two-parter Scorpion, Species 8472 was perhaps the only lifeform powerful enough to threaten the Borg, a feat that immediately set them apart in Trek lore. Species 8472, later known as the Undine in Star Trek Online canon, hails from a realm outside our own, fluidic space. They are physically superior, immune to assimilation, possess incredible regenerative properties, and are capable of mimicking human physiology down to the molecular level. Now, consider this. What if one of these perfect infiltrators did successfully integrate into human society, or worse, Starfleet itself? Ransom's superhuman moments. While Lower Decks leans into parody, Star Trek has always had a way of hiding critical truths in the unlikeliest places. Here are just a few strange instances from Ransom's record. 1. Strange Energies, Season 2, Episode 1. Ransom is hit with an ancient energy beam and begins developing godlike powers. While the incident is chalked up to alien tech, his ability to absorb and utilize that energy with ease is never explained. 2. Healing factors. Ransom has suffered several serious injuries throughout the series, yet bounces back remarkably quickly. While comedic timing can explain this in part, fans have pointed out that he shrugs off concussions, deep lacerations, and even phaser burns with no lasting effects. 3. Combat prowess. In various scenes, Ransom dispatches multiple foes, sometimes even massive alien creatures, with no backup and a smile on his face. He doesn't just win, he dominates. 4. Resistance to mind control and telepathy. While other crew members fall prey to mind-altering phenomena, Ransom often remains unaffected or quickly breaks free. Could all of this point to enhanced biology? Perhaps Ransom is the descendant of a Species 8472 infiltrator, or even a sleeper agent created via genetic modification. The real smoking phaser, 8472's ability to morph. Species 8472's most chilling ability is its capacity to perfectly imitate human beings, both physically and psychologically. This ability was demonstrated in the Voyager episode In the Flesh, where the species constructed a duplicate Starfleet Academy to train its agents. They weren't just copying appearances. They could mimic speech, body language, career histories, even form emotional attachments. But Janeway ultimately convinced the species that peaceful coexistence was preferable to war. A truce was brokered, but 8,472 warned that their eyes would remain open. Could one of these infiltrators have stayed behind, not as a spy, but out of genuine desire to explore humanity? If so, it's not unthinkable that such a being, or their offspring, could rise through the ranks of Starfleet. Perhaps Commander Jack Ransom is the result of a union between a human and an 8,472 operative attempting to live as one of us. Jack Ransom's past is mysteriously blank. Unlike most senior Starfleet officers, Jack Ransom's history is strangely unelaborated. We know he served under Freeman before the Cerritos, and he's dropped a few anecdotal tidbits such as a fling with a space nun, but there's no deep lore around his upbringing, family, or academy years. Compare that with the rich backstories we get for even lower decks ensigns like Mariner and Boimler. If Ransom does have a secret alien origin or genetic anomaly, it could have been quietly classified by Starfleet or suppressed by Ransom himself. He may not even know his true origin, much like B'Elanna Torres had to grapple with her Klingon identity or Odo struggled with his shapeshifting nature. Personality parallels and alien isolation. Species 8,472, despite their menace, are ultimately portrayed as misunderstood, deeply intelligent beings who fear assimilation and domination. Their hostility stems from isolation and trauma. Oddly enough, Ransom occasionally displays a similar emotional range. Underneath his macho exterior, there are hints of deep insecurity and emotional distance. He uses bravado to mask his uncertainty and often overcompensates when challenged by authority or ethics. In Ransom's rank, we see how seriously he takes the chain of command, sometimes to the point of fascistic overreach. He also meditates obsessively and maintains perfect physical form, perhaps not just out of vanity, but to maintain control over something alien. This duality, human on the outside, something else struggling to break free on the inside, echoes the tragic elements of 8,472's own journey. Could Lower Decks be planting seeds for a reveal? While Lower Decks is ostensibly a comedy, it exists firmly within Star Trek canon and frequently sets up stories that later affect the wider universe. Its recent crossover with Strange New Worlds showed that the series isn't afraid to play in the same sandbox as the more serious shows. Could a future episode, or perhaps a crossover event, reveal Ransom's true origin? There are several ways Lower Decks could explore this without breaking tone. A return to fluidic space. Maybe the Cerritos stumbles into fluidic space, and Ransom is inexplicably unaffected by its hostile conditions. DNA anomalies. A transporter accident or medical scan could reveal his physiology is not entirely human. 8,472 agents resurface. Perhaps the truce with 8,472 has collapsed, and they want Ransom back, either as a lost child or a rogue agent. Such a reveal would be both hilarious and emotionally resonant. Imagine Ransom confronting the idea that he's not human, all while trying to maintain his tan and flex in front of the crew. What this theory could mean for Trek canon. If this theory proves true, it would most